As far as tending to your pins, the beautiful part about Pinterest is that it lives on. When you're on other platforms, once there's enough other content that's come in, you kind of get buried, right? Like someone would have to scroll a really long time to see your content. That's why you're supposed to post every day or multiple times a week. Whereas on Pinterest, you could have a pin, and as long as your link is still live, your website's still live, wherever it's leading them to is still there, it could be years later and someone would search for that same keyword and find you and land on your page. So the beauty of Pinterest is that it doesn't expire. There's no expiration date on the pin that you're using.
If you are a female Christian entrepreneur or life coach, you need a podcast. And if you have a podcast, you need a podcast coach. Finding a supportive and empowering community is key to podcaster success. Through my holistic approach as a trained life coach and my experience in the podcast industry since 2016, I want to encourage you weekly through answering your podcasting questions. I'm cheering for you, and your voice matters. Hey everyone, welcome to Holistic Podcasting. I have an incredible conversation that's coming out for you because I know it's a popular question, and a good friend of mine who has been in my world of podcasting for a while, and I want to introduce you to her. Her name is Amber Wyrock. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So we're going to talk about Pinterest, specifically for podcasters.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately, when I heard your show come out, so let me back up, you guys. Hold on. My brain is working right now. Amber is the host of the Inspired Biz podcast. She is like your mentor, teacher, best friend, all things social media and digital marketing. She loves coming alongside virtual assistants and social media marketing experts to help guide them on how to just continue to grow in this field. So if you are in that category, or you have somebody on your team as a podcaster who is specific to social media and wanting to grow, you need to go find her podcast, The Inspired Biz, because it has taught me as a podcaster so much about social media, and just a rock star in this element right here. So go check out her podcast. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, that was a glowing endorsement. Thank you so much. Goodness, I'm like blushing over here.
Oh, yes, I love what you do because it's such good training for everyone, not only virtual assistants, but me as a podcaster. And so coming back to what I was going to say was, I was listening to the Inspired Biz, and you had put a bonus episode out talking about Pinterest. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, this is so needed. I've heard it on a couple of other awesome podcasters who help podcasters show. They've talked a lot about Pinterest, but I've never really done a deep dive into Pinterest. And so I was like, dang, I need her on the show, and she needs to bring what she knows about Pinterest to my podcasters so that we can all grow and expand our listening audience. So I'm going to throw it right to you of why does Pinterest matter to a podcaster?
So Pinterest is this really underrated and kind of off the radar platform for social media, right? I mean, when you think social media management, you immediately think of Instagram, you immediately think of Facebook, and it makes sense because those are the giants, right? But Pinterest is like, it's like the undercurrent that you don't even really think about. And what I have discovered with Pinterest for podcasting, but for a lot of our clients, is that it is a tool that if you invest in it wisely, it can be very, very valuable. Because I liken it like this. Instagram and Facebook is a lot like rolling down the interstate, right? And you've got billboards on either side and you're just scrolling through, you're rolling through the interstate and you're seeing the billboards pop up. And sometimes you see the billboard pop up multiple times and you're like, okay, that place seems interesting. Let me pull off. I'm going to hang out here for a second, right? I'm going to follow them. I'm going to get to know what they're about. But a lot of times you just keep scrolling. You just keep driving. Whereas Pinterest, and there are other platforms like this as well, but Pinterest is a place you go to search for things. It is a giant search engine. So if you are using Pinterest correctly and using keywords, you can actually tap into your audience, your exact audience that you're wanting, because they're searching for the keywords that you're using. And you can provide your content, your podcast, your lead generator, your freebie, your value, whatever that would be. You put that right there to them. And it's just a different platform as opposed to a place you're just scrolling through. When you go to a place like Pinterest, you're searching for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Then my question for you would be, and I can hear all of my podcasters saying, well, how do you figure out what are those keywords that we should use for Pinterest?
Right. So one of the things that our agency does do, we do the keyword research. We kind of look at what are people looking for? What are the common denominators, so to speak? What are our competitors putting out there? Those are the kinds of things that we would look for keywords. But also, just so you know, if you get on Pinterest on their business side, so if you set up a Pinterest account, but it's a business account, they actually give you what are people searching for. So for instance, I was just recently working with a trauma recovery coach, and we were able to look at what are people searching for. And one of the biggest searched words or keywords was self-care. And I said, are there ways for you to meet that need? People are coming to Pinterest looking for self-care. You are a trauma recovery coach. If you can find a way to meet that need with a lead generator, with a freebie, with even just some content on a blog, that's the kind of thing that then meets them where they're at and introduces them to the value that you bring. And that is where Pinterest actually provides you with the information to know, what are people searching for? What are they coming in here looking at?
Wow. That's okay. My mind is blowing of like, okay, you could do like a whole series based off of what is the keyword that people are searching up, and just like over and over again. That's your landing page. That's your email sign up. Oh man. Okay. My head's exploding.
And think about it. All of us. So I'm not a trauma recovery coach, but I am someone who is working with a lot of people in the virtual space, right? So self-care, we're going into May. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. There's a lot of things that when you're working virtually, when you're working as an entrepreneur, like caring for yourself is really important. So there are ways to take that keyword of self-care and utilize it in a lot of different markets, a lot of different industries, right? So understanding what people are searching for, but then understanding how it applies to your specific niche is really important.
Okay. That's so good. Yeah. I think that's a great example, thinking of self-care on all the different fronts, like of even just from a motherhood and ministry kind of podcast to a financial coach to, I mean, that's brilliant and such a way to continue to create content. So, okay. I know that it can feel a little overwhelming. Like I use Tailwind as my automated place where I schedule all my posts. And I know Pinterest is one of those options. But when I look at how many times it says to schedule, it's like 30 times in a day. And I'm like, okay, no. So is that accurate? And is the scheduling a little different inside of Pinterest versus other social media?
Yes. So let's talk about Instagram and Facebook, right? So let's talk, those are the giants. When you're posting there, you're looking at your overall grid and how people would view your entire account. Whereas on Pinterest, most people are not going to your actual page. They're finding you because they search for something. So when they say to post 30 times in one day, they're not saying create 30 unique posts. They're saying, take that pin to your podcast, that pin that goes to your blog, that pin that goes to your freebie that then has people sign up for your email list. They're saying, put that on 30 different boards, or maybe not 30, maybe you have 5 pins that you put on 6 different boards, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you're wanting to get in front of as many people as possible. So we're not talking about creating 30 unique pieces of content, which, let's be honest, no one wants to do in one day. No one. I'm a social media manager. I don't even have any, I have no clients that ask for that level. But that is on Pinterest. It's just a different approach. They're saying this piece of content could go in 3 or 4 or 6 different places that then would put you in front of different audiences based off of what they're searching.
Okay, that makes sense. So now I'm going to kind of turn back a little bit, go to very beginner. If you are just starting out as a podcaster, where do you start?
Oh, goodness. Okay. So I'll be honest. I started as a podcaster and I was not on Pinterest. I was not utilizing Pinterest at all. I was just very organically putting it out there on Instagram. You know, when when a new episode would drop, I would put it out there, and I was having similar results. What I was talking about, you know, people, it's like they're driving down a highway and it might resonate with them and it might not. Right. And when I started utilizing Pinterest, actually came because my colleague, Katie, who is a Pinterest expert, she was like, girl, why are you not using Pinterest right now? And I mean, she was like, she tried to not be judgy, but she was maybe a little judgy. She's like, why are you not utilizing this platform? And I just said, well, it just feels really overwhelming to me, which I'm assuming most people who are listening to this right now have that same feeling, right? And she said, I understand, but here's what it can do. And here is why it's actually a really, really important platform. And so when I first got started as a podcaster, I did not use it. And when I then started utilizing Pinterest to promote my episodes, promote maybe the resources within the episodes that I was talking about, I also started using a blog on my site to mirror the episodes so that, I mean, some people will land on a blog faster than they'll land on a podcast, right?
Yep.
And so when I started really utilizing the same content that I was already creating, but putting it in different places, I started seeing a huge amount of increase in the number of people that were showing up on my site, the people who were showing up in my downloads, and then also on my email list. And so if you are sitting there and you're thinking, well, I've had a podcast and I haven't used Pinterest before, it's not too late. It definitely is something that you can start using, but it is a really valuable tool because they are not algorithm based. They are keyword based.
Oh, that's huge.
It is huge. So a lot of the other platforms, and these I will not mention, they kind of control the reach that you have, right? Based off of an algorithm. And we use that word, it's such a dirty word, the algorithm.
Right.
Whereas Pinterest, and there are other platforms that use this as well, they are keyword based. And this is where that will open up that highway for you, that avenue for you.
Wow. Okay. Now, as somebody who is starting out, is there certain types of posts or pins, I should say, pins that do better overall versus like, say you are just doing a pin of your podcast, let's say like a Canva post of your episode number, blah, 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 versus a quote or a infographic that explains something. What are you finding, or video? Because I know video is on there as well. Are you seeing any kind of trend that one does better than the other?
Well, first of all, video is still king across all platforms, including Pinterest. So here's what I can tell you. If you're utilizing video in short form video for Reels or for TikToks, you can use that same thing on Pinterest. So it's not recreating it. It's just using that content in a different way. And yes, video on Pinterest is huge, but it's not the end all and be all like we see on some platforms. One of the things to think about when it comes to Pinterest is, what would people be searching for? What are my ideal audience? What are they coming here and looking for? So for instance, let's say you are a coach that helps moms and dads know how to communicate with their teenagers. I'm using that because I have a sophomore daughter and I know how that sometimes feels, right? Yep. So let's say you're a coach that is trying to provide resources and support to someone who is trying to navigate the teenage years. When you create pins and the keywords that you use and the content that you're promoting on your pins, you have to think about what would a parent of a teenager be coming to Pinterest or to even Google, what would I be looking for, right? What would I be searching for? Ways to communicate with my kid, ways to connect with my kid. Like those are the kinds of things. Now, then you create not just a pin, but content that answers that pain point. I am at a place where I don't know how to communicate with my child. I used to know, and now I don't. I need help. And you come in and say, hey, are you looking for a way to communicate with your child? I have that for you. Here's that free download. Here's that, this course that you could take. So thinking about what would my ideal audience be searching for? And then how can I come in and meet that thing, that pain point that they're at? How can I meet that and provide value and structure and systems for them that then would make them want to say, click, yes, I'm interested in that.
Okay. That is very well streamlined. Okay, get into the heart of your listener.
Think about and that's really what it is. So your podcast, don't create a pin that just promotes the title of your podcast. Yeah. Create a pin around what your podcast is providing to your audience.
Okay. Yes. Oh, so good. Okay. So I have a specific question from one of my amazing Facebookers who, hey, if you guys have not been in my Facebook group, it's a free Facebook group for anybody,
fabulous.
who has a podcast. It's called Holistic Podcasting, just like the show. So you can find it. But one of the questions that was asked was, how often do I, as a curator, need to be tending to my pins or creating new pins to get good traction?
Okay. So when we support multiple clients that we do Pinterest for, and we actually only create between 16 and 20 pins a month. We're not talking about a huge amount of content that we're creating. Okay. Now, we will pin those to multiple boards. We will make sure that they are going out on multiple boards. Probably, and this is where Tailwind, you mentioned Tailwind. Tailwind is a wonderful, wonderful feature because inside of Pinterest, their scheduling tools will not allow you to schedule to that many boards all at once, but Tailwind does. So if you do not have Tailwind and you're interested in doing something like this, where you're posting or you're pinning to multiple boards, that Tailwind is the way to go. But when you go in, then you take those same 16 to 20 pins and you pin them to multiple boards based off of, and you use keywords based off of what people might be searching for inside of those.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about a ton of content that you're having to create, but we are talking about using it strategically. As far as tending to your pins, the beautiful part about Pinterest is that it lives on. When you're on other platforms, once there's enough, other content that's come in, you kind of get buried, right? Like someone would have to scroll a really long time to see your content. That's why you're supposed to post every day or, multiple times a week. Whereas on Pinterest, you could have a pin, and as long as your link is still live, your website's still live, wherever it's leading them to is still there. It could be years later and someone would search for that same keyword and find you and land on your page. So the beauty of Pinterest is that it doesn't expire. There's no expiration date on the pin that you're using.
Okay. That's really helpful because I am finding connections and stats that point to pins that I did at least a year ago that I'm like,
right.
Oh, that's still going on. I forgot about it.
It's funny. So my sister got married she was a March 2020 bride. So we had to get married on a dock at a park because that was how it had to work. We had to kind of change everything around all at the last minute. But prior to that, we were planning her wedding and we were using a shared Pinterest board, which I was her matron of honor. I had it all set up. I still now, 3 years later, will get notifications that people have repinned things from my Pinterest board that I created for my sister's wedding in 2020.
Funny.
That's how long, like, it doesn't expire. It may change and it may shift. Now, obviously, wedding trends might change, so that might start to shift a little bit. But the things that don't change, a lot of the topics that people who are podcasting bring to the table.
Yes.
Those are not shifting because they're relational, they're community, they're very personally driven. So that's why I believe that podcasters should be utilizing Pinterest if they can.
Yes, that evergreen content can live there endlessly.
Yeah.
Okay. So that actually makes me think of, if you have somebody who is brand new to podcasting, they are on that little cusp of like, this is so overwhelming to post my podcast. And if they, like, you are a social media manager, if they're sitting in front of you and they're like, what one social media platform should I invest in? What would you say?
Oh, it's so hard. It's so hard. So I always laugh and say, there's like so many places I could go with that question, right? So the biggest thing that I would ask, first of all, is their goals. Right? Yeah. If you are looking to build community and relationship, Instagram and Facebook are fabulous for that. I mean, you see it inside of your own Facebook group, right? That is the place. It's hard on a place like Pinterest where you can see the stats that people are clicking on your pin and maybe even saving it, but there's no way to interface with them necessarily. Okay. So there is really great value in the Instagram and Facebook world to build that community and to build the authority that you have in your market. So I don't want to tell people, hey, you're fine, just ignore that and go over here. But what I can tell you is that when people go to a platform like Pinterest, they are ready to take action. They're searching for something. So when you're thinking about using these two platforms, there's a different goal in mind. The goal here is to build relationship, to build community, to reinforce authority. And the goal here is to get in front of action takers who are ready to take action and ultimately say yes to your offer. Okay.
That's really good distinction, because my thing is like, I want you to launch successfully and to have your next step with confidence. So I think, that's such good advice. And I will say too, if you're in a place where you can invest in learning more about Pinterest, then you have to hear about her up and coming Pinterest course, because I swear all of my podcasters need to sign up for this because it's going to be invaluable. Mm-hmm. And why don't you share a little bit about that? And
so I've been really blessed in my journey as an entrepreneur to just have people who have come alongside me and been an amazing network and amazing support. Kristin, you're one of them. But my colleague and my friend, Katie, we have worked together and alongside one another for a good period of time now. And we have decided that, both of us we provide done for you services in the social media and the digital marketing world. We also understand that not everyone is at a place where they can invest that, whether it's because their priorities are somewhere different or their finances just aren't there yet. We understand that, but we also believe that everyone needs and has the ability to really invest in their digital marketing. And so we are launching the Digital Divas, and it's going to involve some one-off modules, but also we're looking at launching the Digital Diva Academy, where we're really investing in people, helping them become, and it's not just for women, but we're women. So to become your own digital diva, right? To understand what it looks like for your business, to kind of unlock the skills that are necessary to show up in the digital marketplace, because that's where everything is right now. So that's one of the things that we're doing. We're bringing modules on things like Pinterest, where we're going to teach you Pinterest strategy and really the fundamentals of what that looks like. I think we're planning a deeper dive where it's that's 101, and then we'll have a 201 type of course. We're looking at, right now we're recording things like social media strategy, understanding the platforms that are out there and how to best meet the goals that you have for your business, even things like copywriting. how to write authentic and compelling copy for your business, whether it's on a social media platform or on your website. So we believe that everyone can be a digital diva, and we are wanting to bring that to you. Now, there will be some folks that still say, no, please, can I just hire someone to do it for me? And that is okay. And Katie and I would love to talk with you about that. But we also really want to provide you with that platform to learn the skills, whether it's yourself or someone on your team, to be able to do it more in-house.
What a great tool and asset to have as a new podcaster, a current podcaster, a seasoned podcaster. Yeah, I think everybody could really benefit from that. And if you are like what she was saying, like Amber was saying, was, I don't want to do any of that. I would rather hand it off. Then where can people find you to connect with you in both capacities? But I think having access to the digital divas, there we go.
The digital divas, yes.
And having access to you as far as having somebody else do it for them, where can they go?
Yeah. So the digitaldivas.org is our site. You can check that out. It's going to have a way for you to access the modules more individually, but then maybe like really even bundling things together. So you might look at things and say, you know what, I don't necessarily need to know about X, but I would really like to know about these things. And then obviously, if you're looking for done for you services, you can check out Socially Inspired Management. That is my management business. My team is all about coming alongside entrepreneurs, podcasters, coaches, people who are in the service-based industries, especially, and linking arms with them and helping them chase down their dreams through their digital marketing. So there's both. If you're like, I can learn this, or if you think, nope, I'm ready for someone to take this over, we can help you with both of those.
Awesome. I love it. And you guys, she is top notch. So I adore Amber. I think she is bringing so much to this world and so much help, and she's the real deal. She's genuinely encouraging and kind and backing up so many people in their own social media footprint. So go check out Amber's new digitaldivas.com.
Yeah. And
any other last minute comments or encouragement about Pinterest or podcasting?
Oh man, I think with podcasting, what I have learned is that trying new things, stepping into new areas, not just getting stuck in a rut is really important. And whether that means you try Pinterest or you decide to start using video on YouTube of your podcast, or you just are even thinking about launching a podcast. When you are willing to step into something new and try something new, there is always reward for that. It may not look the way that you think it looks, but there is always reward for that. And I have discovered that time and time again, especially as a podcaster. So I just think if you're sitting there today and you're thinking, oh, but is this going to really pay off? I promise you it will. And again, it may not pay off in the way that the world tells us that it will pay off, but it will benefit you. It will grow you. It will stretch you, and it will be beneficial in the end.
Oh, amen. I love that. All right. What beautiful advice to end with. And I just thank you so much for your time and for you sharing your wisdom in Pinterest and how it can help grow our podcast. So thanks for being with us today, Amber.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I love it.
Hey, thanks for listening today. I hope that you feel encouraged and inspired to launch and grow your podcast. And speaking of that, I want to personally invite you, if you are thinking about starting a podcast or you're thinking about growing your current podcast, I have an amazing opportunity coming up in the middle of April, inviting you into our Podcast Bootcamp. The first one is for new podcasters who are looking to launch and create their brand new podcast. And the second is going to be for current podcasters who want to grow and monetize their podcast. Come check it out at www.kristinfieldschadwick.com, or you can find me on Instagram and send me a message and that you want to know more.